This week saw a lot of violence in the Jerusalem area. The Temple Mount, the Jewish Temple Mount, the place where the two temples once stood, was desecrated again, but this time by the Israeli government themselves. 2 weeks ago, the Muslim crowd, there was a Muslim terrorist who, from close range, shot and murdered 2 policemen on the Temple Mount. They're actually Druze. And in response, Israel put up metal detectors to make sure no terrorists can get on there again. The Muslims went crazy and they had demonstrations where they actually called to murder Jews and rape Jewish girls. I have the recording for that. And in response to the violence, Jordan got involved as well. And the Jordanian parliament really went out against Israel. And then, at the end of the day, Prime Minister Netanyahu took down all measures of security. Hamas and the radical sections of the Arab population have given a tremendous party. This is a victory for terror. It's a horrible, horrible thing, and we will be paying this price for a long time to come. I'm sure, Uri, you disagree with me. I'd love to hear your take on this.
No, first of all, I think it's very harmful, the way it was handled. Putting those metal detectors there in the first place was a mistake.
It's terrible.
It was done with no thought put into it, with no consultation. The whole Israeli security apparatus was against it. It was obvious it would trigger violence. Of course, in your narrative, there's only the Temple Mount is where the Jewish temples stood till 2,000 years ago, but currently there is a mosque there that is very sacred to the Muslims, the third most holy site on their faith. In the last 50 years, since Israel is in control of Temple Mount, there was no Israeli killed there.
No Israelis were allowed up.
No Israelis. Well, there's security personnel there all the time.
No Jews were allowed up.
There's no Israelis. There's Israeli security there all the time. These were the first time ever since in the last 50 years, and Israel managed without those metal detectors. And by the way, I think metal detectors could have been put there if it would have been in consultation with the Waqf, which is the force that is the religious Muslim supervision of the site, and with Jordan and with the Palestinian Authority.
Okay, I need to get a couple points straight here.
The decision was reckless. It triggered violence. Of course, it doesn't.
Metal detectors triggered violence.
Yeah, because it was a change in the status quo according to their belief. It's a stupid mistake that caused casualties and lives. It should have been done in the first place. It should have been done with understanding that there is Muslim presence there, and Jerusalem has also a Palestinian element.
Let's get a couple of things straight. First, historically, the fact that you admit that the Jewish temple was on there and the Muslims...
I admit it.
1 second.
I pray towards that mountain every day.
You finished? And the Muslims occupied violently that area and built
From
a shrine.
whom?
It's irrelevant. They occupied an area that wasn't
From
theirs.
the
Let me finish the
Crusaders,
sentence. And then the Al-Sharif they put on...
Not even from the Byzantine Empire.
The Al-Sharif they put on an area...
From the Byzantine Empire. Are you a representative of the Byzantine Empire?
Was put on the area of the Holy of Holies that they're the Jewish nation.
There was a church there before.
Excuse me, 1 second. Let me finish my sentence. They build a mosque and a shrine on the Jewish Temple Mount, and you're okay with that. But it's funny that when the Jews live in Judea and Samaria, you're not okay with that. But I'm not going to move on. You then...
We're talking about something that happened 1,600 years ago.
Oh, so occupation is okay after a certain amount of time?
It's not. You aren't there. You have beef with the ancient Romans.
Were you around in 67?
I suggest you go.
Were you around in 67?
And look
were you
for,
around in 67?
And look for Pompey and Vespasian.
So it's okay.
And Titus.
So you're justified.
Look them up. They were the last ones who occupied the territory from the Jews.
This is the problem with the left in Israel.
From the left,
you're
messianic. You're talking about things that happened 2,000 years ago.
I'm Jewish. But you justify Islamic occupation on Jewish sites.
You are as jihadist
you're not,
as those Muslims.
I think
you live like the Muslim, the Muslim state or the Islamic state.
But you make peace with those jihadists. It's only the Jews that you have a problem with.
I want to live in peace and prosperity.
All right, let me finish my sentence now. But the Waqf you speak about every week...
Not with demons from 2,000 years ago.
Of course not. Just the Waqf who gives every week sermons on murdering Jews. That guy you trust. And that is the problem.
I don't trust it at all.
Yes, you do.
We should not.
You trust him with security on the Temple Mount.
I don't trust them.
You want to ask
your
him permission.
government, the right-wing government.
You want to ask him permission.
There's no
Zaki,
There's no left represented in that
Uri
government.
Zaki
Who
wants
is
to-
the Israeli government?
Uri Zaki wants to ask the Waqf for permission to put up metal detectors when he's giving.
Who is the? So why did they put them down? Your government.
Great question.
The right-wing government.
I'm going to answer
the
you.
Messianic government. Why did he take it out?
So I'm going to answer
After
you.
the last security
I'm gonna
camera
answer you.
there.
Benjamin Netanyahu is not a religious man, so you call him messianic is ridiculous.
Bennett is.
Are you going to finish? Let me finish. Bennett is not a messianic, and you're ridiculous for saying that. This is the exaggeration of the left, who constantly exaggerates.
The left? What do we have to do with it?
You sitting right
We're
here.
in the opposition.
Let me finish my sentence. You sitting right here, constantly bashed and use exaggeration when it comes to Jews. When it comes to murder, 2 policemen were murdered by guns.
So why did your nationalistic government take it down? Why did it take it down if I'm so much in the
Let me
state?
finish my sentence. You do not say a word about the policemen who were shot. It doesn't.
Arifol, don't run away.
Let me finish my sentence.
Please explain why your government, the right-wing government that you like so much, put down those metal detectors and took out all the cameras.
I will. You are not a dictator. Let me finish the sentence and I'll explain it.
Please do.
The problem was that weapons were put up in the Temple Mount, and while you're okay with apparently,
I'm not okay with it.
You're not letting me finish.
I didn't.
You didn't hear what I was about to say.
It's Benjamin Netanyahu the prime minister.
Let me finish my sentence. Apparently, you might be okay with Jews being watched like hawks in order not to pray, but a Muslim.
I know you're used to incitement.
Let me finish.
But please explain.
I will. You're not letting me get the sentence out. This is the way the left works. You overtalk. You don't let me talk. I'll explain it again. There was a terrorist attack on the Temple Mount. Metal detectors accepted all over the world, including in Mecca, was put up. And the Arabs and the Muslims, not the Arabs, the Muslims violently demonstrated. And unfortunately, Bibi Netanyahu gave in to terrorism. I have no shame saying that. I didn't vote for him, and I will not be voting for him the next time either. But that's not the problem.
So why do you blame me? I don't understand.
I'll explain to you, because
the only thing is that I said it was a mistake to do it in the first place. After there were casualties from both sides.
No, both sides casualties. What casualties?
There was a baby. There was a baby.
Oh my goodness.
There was a baby in Jerusalem. A baby, an 8-month baby that was killed. But you don't care. You don't care. I heard you before. You don't care about lives of non-Jews. That's racism.
Did the IDF kill that baby purposely?
So what?
Because your Muslim friends went into a Jewish house.
Are you sorry for that baby being... So this week, although Netanyahu, the prime minister, in order to appease his right-wing base, wanted to promote before the recess of Knesset the nation law. The legal advisor of the Knesset said you cannot do it in 2 weeks. This is too big of a law. The law basically defines Israel as a Jewish nation, but it also has some other ingredients that go against the self-definition of Israel so far. First of all, it says that Israel is first and foremost a Jewish state, and in other way it says it's also a democracy, but it's not as important.
What it says.
It's not as important. Let me finish. Not as important as its Jewish nature, the democratic part. Also, it downgrades the level of the Arabic language in Israel, although it was a full official language in Israel. It's another stage of the right-wing government going against the Israeli democracy.
Okay, so let me clarify a couple of points here. Again, what you're saying is false. It's just not true. Number one, it does not say that it downgrades the language at all. The Arabic will stay the official language of the state of Israel. It's just not true. What it says, the law says, is the state of Israel is the recognized state of the Jewish people, and the Jewish customs should be recognized in the state and kept. It does not downgrade anywhere. It doesn't mean you have freedom of religion.
Where does it say democracy?
One second. It says it's the nation of the Jewish people that is run by a democratic government. That's the quote of the law.
No, it was taken off.
It's
in another paragraph.
It was said, originally the law says a Jewish democratic country, and they changed it to a
Why?
One second.
Why?
Because Israel, by definition, is the Jewish country. It's the Jewish homeland. The fact that we have a government...
So democracy is not as important.
1 second. Again, if it's a democratic country and that's it, that's America. The specialty about Israel, which I think we both agree on, is that this is the Jewish homeland. That is first and foremost. But
when
that
there is a
that doesn't-
competition between the Jewishness of the
Okay, so-
country and the democratic nature of the country, the democratic nature should prevail.
Who
With
says
all
that?
due-
Who says that?
I said so.
Okay,
I said
but
so.
I disagree with you.
I say so.
I don't
And
think-
also the forefathers of this country say so.
No, that's not true.
Herzl
Megillah-
said so.
Hold on, the Megillah, that's
Ben
what-
Gurion said so.
Declaration of Independence says very specific that the country should be run by the ruach, by the spirit of our prophets. That's it. And it was written by secular people.
But he talks about equality.
Absolutely.
He talks about
Uri, that's why I'm saying it says Israel is the Jewish country that is governed by democracy. It's part
today,
of the law.
after 70 years of democracy, your government is trying to
Our government,
your government
it's part of your country.
undermining Israel's democracy.
No, it's not.
On the,
Where-
on the
where do you
one
see
hand, it
that?
says we're the only democracy
Uri,
in the Middle
Uri, can I ask
East.
a question?
On the other hand,
Is this
it's
law-
downgrading the level of democracy in
Is
Israel.
this law
now officially, not only
Is
like
this law stripping
laws.
any rights of the Arabs?
Excuse me?
Is this law stripping any rights
The
of the Arabs?
law is very, it's
Uri,
a declaration of how this nationalistic, religious
It's not
government
nationalistic. It says the Jewish
sees the state of
homeland. We're
Israel,
nationalistic.
changes the state of Israel.
Where does it change? Give me an example. Does it
The
take,
downgrading of
Uri,
the democratic
does it take
level.
away
In
rights from
all
Arabs?
other basic laws, it says
Does it take
Jewish
away-
democratic.
Does it take away rights from the Arabs?
Again, it's a
No, it
declaration.
doesn't.
First
Does
of
it
all,
take-
of the Arabic language.
It doesn't. It's
Second,
still an official
it tells,
language of Israel.
It tells the Israeli courts that they have to consider the Jewish halacha in their ruling
No,
instead
it
of.
says the law in the courts.
This is whenever I say Iran, you don't like
No,
it.
no,
This is
Uri,
the direction.
you know this more than I
This
do.
is the direction your government is taking.
Mishpat Ivri, you know that the court books are written based on the Mishpat Ivri, the Hebrew guys.
No, they based on law, on universal law.
One second.
on-
Are you telling me that you don't
and-
know? You don't know that in Israel the court system is based on the Jewish law?
I'm an LLM. I know very. No, it's not based on Jewish law. It's just not true.
It's not. So if I show you the
go
quote-
to law school. I went to the Hebrew,
You're right. You went to-
Hebrew University Law
So
School.
If I show it to you, will you admit that you're wrong?
No, I won't because I have 2 law degrees. I know.
And if I showed you that you're wrong, would you admit that you're wrong?
I won't be because you're wrong. Because I
could
know
be.
the law
It could be
very
right. So
well.
let me ask you again: is this law stripping the rights of Arabs at all?
It's first of all when it says when he
Just answer
gives
yes or no.
when he gives. This is a declaration of how this nationalistic religious government sees the state of Israel.
Okay, I agree with you. I agree with you.
This
Is it stripping the
declaration,
rights of the Arabs?
The Jewish nationalistic part, religious part, is more important than the
I
democracy.
agree with you. Is it stripping the rights of
It
the Arabs?
comes together with some other legislation that does hurt Arabs.
How?
And that does hurt
How?
does hurt the opposition to Netanyahu.
How?
And this is an Erdogan-like
How? Tell me
regime.
how. Uri, give me an
You are
example.
getting from a government into a regime gradually.
I agree with you. How is it
Okay.
hurting the Arabs?
First of all, it downgrades the
The language is not going to change from an official language of Israel.
It
You-
is.
Jerusalem seems not to be able to get out of the headlines, and this time it's a little bit surprising what happened. The Jewish Home political party, the right-wing religious party, was pushing forward a law that would basically make it impossible to split Jerusalem in any kind of negotiations with the Arabs. Who vetoed that law? None other than the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm in a little bit of a tight spot here. You know what I'm saying? But I'll tell you the truth, is that I think for me and for, let's say, the Jewish Home, this is great. Because at the end of the day, I think we want Netanyahu in the driver's seat. We just want to make sure the passengers are certain, are the right religious people. I am shocked. And I've tried to research why he did this. And I'm more shocked with him than with Trump. In other words, I say, look, and what I understood from people in the Knesset, they said, well, they wanted to take credit for it, and he wants credit. I remember the days, and I'm sure you remember the days, when Rabin was alive, and he was talking, and Perez, and they were talking about Jerusalem, and Netanyahu was up there screaming, you're going to give away Jerusalem. He vetoes a Jerusalem to unit, and he would make it impossible. So, go ahead, Uri, I'm giving you the floor.
For me, what's shocking here, and the breaking news, is not about the law itself. I think the law was a trick by Bennett to exactly do what you're talking about now, to show that he's more to the right and to the right of Jerusalem and to the right of Netanyahu. But the shocking news here is that Netanyahu finally was able to say no to something Bennett
To someone.
to Bennett. I think that since this coalition was formed, Netanyahu is following suit everything that Bennett is the real boss of this government. Netanyahu is the executor. Whatever crazy idea that Bennett comes up with, Netanyahu follows
Give
suit.
an example.
There are numerous ones on everything, on everything.
I just don't know what you're talking about. So if you give me an example, I can relate to it.
There are many examples of Bennett starting. That Bennett starting an idea. Netanyahu even. I'll give you a great example. Elor Azaria, the shooting soldier in Hebron. At first, Netanyahu said took the side of the former Minister of Defense. Then Bennett said, no, we have to defend the soldier. And Netanyahu changed 180 degrees.
He didn't change. He called the father.
180 degrees.
He called the father of the soldier. He didn't
And
change
there are
the
so
view.
many.
He didn't change
And there are
the view.
so many other examples.
Okay, let's go back to Jerusalem for 1 second.
For Jerusalem, look, these laws and everything. I think Netanyahu understands, and finally he gets some sense that in order even to create a facade of him wanting to go to the peace deal that President Trump is trying to promote,
which we don't know what it is.
to pass right now a law that says it will be impossible to divide Jerusalem when it's obvious that any peace agreement and any Palestinian state that would be formed, you'll have to have a compromise in Jerusalem. He knows that even if he doesn't want to go to that agreement, to show that to the Americans would be a disaster diplomatically for him.
I agree with you 100% with what you just said, and this is exactly the type of political game that we must stop playing. It is this kind. One second.
It's your prime minister. I didn't vote for him.
I agree with you. No, it's our prime minister. But I think that this game of, well, let's not claim what's ours is ours, not to step on anyone's toes. This is the reason a lot of the world keeps on saying that UNESCO votes against Jerusalem because the prime minister won't unify. It's obvious. This is our fault. But I think that
to give him credit, it's not like he's not unifying. He's just saying that in order to divide, you need 80 members of Knesset.
Which is impossible. Which is impossible.
Right.
So I think that for the future, exactly what I'm saying is I'm happy that there's someone in the Knesset who says enough. There are things we're not going to talk about. Jerusalem is not going on the table.
Everybody's talking about Jerusalem. It's obvious that it's in the core of the debate,
the fact that
both international and domestic.
The fact that everybody's talking about it doesn't make it true or right. But what I'm saying about Netanyahu is, whether it was done politically by Bennett or not,
So this week, a very hot issue opened up in Israel. The Western Wall is the center of attention this week. Well, I want to explain to the viewers who are watching what's going on. The Western Wall is the foundation wall to the Temple Mount. And several years ago, there's a group of women called Women of the Wall who came to the Western Wall to pray in a way that's breaking tradition, Jewish tradition. And it's gotten into international waters now. Since they try to make some kind of compromise, there's a compromise on the right side of the Western Wall. It's called the Israel section, where everybody's allowed to pray there however they want. But there's more argument, and they want a little bit more. They want an entrance into the Western Wall to turn into that area. And the ultra-Orthodox parties in the Israeli Knesset has put up an opposition to that. And now things have seemed to be completely out of control, have exploded. I've looked into the issues, and I really don't understand so much what the explosion is. We know that the Jewish Agency canceled the meeting, and AIPAC also put a whole central meeting based on the Western Wall. You know, I'm sure we probably disagree on this issue. But, you know, I said to people here who are asking me what I think about this, I said, first of all, we have to separate, I think you'll agree with me, we have to separate the politics from personal relationships. In other words, I can argue with someone ideologically, even about what their religious beliefs are, but I can't disrespect them. I think we agree with that. You know, in terms of that issue, and I think that this has gone completely out of control. You know, there's another section where they can pray any way they like, and I think this is a case where people are using politics to, using religion for politics.
Ari, I don't think you can always say that, and I'm sure you, as a person of faith, as a religious person, understands that your religious desires have also some political implications. Look, how you described it about Jewish tradition. There are many Jewish traditions. Right now, the majority, for instance, of Jews in the United States believe in egalitarian prayer. And many of them regard the Western Wall as the most sacred, and also the national point of interest in the state of Israel. Many Israelis believe in egalitarian prayer. So there was a compromise. No, the demand of women of the wall was to have egalitarian prayers in the existing Western Wall area. But the compromise was to make in a more southern part of the ancient wall, to have a special, as you said, section which will be called Azrat Israel, like in the old days of the temple, where you will have the ability to have egalitarian prayers. Now, everybody agreed about that. Even in the beginning, the ultra-Orthodox parties. You have Bennett, the leader of the National Religious Party. Everybody agreed to that.
Right.
Now,
So
Netanyahu, hold on. Netanyahu was now, in order to survive, sold this important compromise within the Jewish people just for his political survival. And that's why AIPAC and the Jewish Agency and all these institutions and organizations who are supportive of Israel, whose support is so crucial to Israel, even according to you, are in anger, including, by the way, American Orthodox rabbis.
All right, so let me just clarify a couple of points. Number one, majority of an opinion does not change religion. The majority of the Jewish nation today, I believe, is not keeping Shabbat and not keeping kosher. And again, I'm not judging them good or bad, but what majority of people act like does not redefine tradition and religion. Therefore, the fact that the majority do it doesn't make it right or doesn't make it in line with tradition.
But that's their faith.
One second, Uri, one second. Here's what really bothers me about this issue. The wall is a foundation to the temple of 2,000 years ago. It is a symbol of our tradition. Now, if you want to change the tradition, it's your prerogative to do so. You can do whatever you like. Okay? You don't have to keep Shabbat. You don't have to keep kosher. And I'm not judging you, by the way, or them. Okay? But why do you have to go to a wall that's a symbol of 2,000-year-old tradition if you don't accept your tradition? In other words, what's important about a 2,000-year-old wall? Wait, one second. Let me just finish the sentence.
Okay, finish the sentence. Let me.
One second. Uri, let me just finish the sentence. A 2,000-year-old wall, which was at a temple where women did not give sacrifices. Women were separated there by gender, and not because they were less or more, just the genders were separated. So if you don't accept that, if you don't accept the tradition, build a new wall. If there's no importance in the old,
you don't own.
1 second.
No, okay. You can't say 1 second all the time. Let me have also a word there.
Uri, 1 second. I'm not saying the Kota doesn't belong to them.
Okay.
That's not what I said.
Can I respond, please?
Sure.
First of all, we're not in 1 BC. We're now in 2017, and today the majority of the Jewish people does not follow that. And apart from that, with all due respect, this separation between women and men is only after 67. Up to 67, up to 48, men and women pray there together. I can show you photos. And regardless, there is no coercion on Orthodox Jews. Orthodox Jews can still
but you're missing the point.
separately. There is a compromise here for the most of Jewish people who have faith, who believe in egalitarian prayer, to pray there. Why can't you respect that?
But you're missing the point. Before 67, we didn't have control of the Western Wall.